Hi, this is Jeff Eager coming to you from Oregon. I'm write for Oregon Roundup Foundation and Oregon Roundup, a couple of news publications out here. I'm also a lawyer in my real job. Used to be the mayor of Bend, Oregon about 12 years ago. And I'm coming to you to talk about this incident of two Customs and Border Patrol agents having shot two individuals in Portland, Oregon yesterday afternoon around 2:30 in the afternoon. The reason I'm talking to you about this is I've been doing a lot of reporting over the last 6 months on Tren de Aragua activity in the Portland metro area. And the feds allege that the folks who were shot are Tren de Aragua affiliated people who were trying to use their vehicle to harm CBP officers, and that's why they were shot. And there's been some just wild response to the shooting from elected representatives from the state of Oregon. So I want to provide some context that I know about that might help you understand this issue a little more. Yesterday afternoon, according to Homeland Security, and I'm going to look at my computer screen while I talk to you on my phone, two individuals, so the driver of the vehicle was named Luis David Nico Moncada. DHS says he is a criminal illegal alien from Venezuela and suspected Tren de Aragua gang member. Illegally entered the U.S. in 22 and was released into the country at that time. Since then, he was arrested for DUI and unauthorized use of a vehicle. Those were presumably local charges. He remains in the country, obviously. Oregon is very much a sanctuary state. And then the passenger who was also shot is named Yorlenis Betzabeth Zambrano Contreras, and DHS says she is a criminal illegal alien from Venezuela and associated with Tren de Aragua, illegally entered the U.S. in 2023 and released into the country. And DHS says she's been involved with a Tren de Aragua prostitution ring and was involved in a prior shooting in Portland. So that's what DHS is saying about that shooting yesterday as of this morning. Yesterday afternoon, in the hours immediately following the shooting, Oregon, the folks who represent Oregon, the Democrats, frankly, who represent Oregon, said some pretty wild things about the shooting. I don't know whether these guys are Tren de Aragua. The feds say they are. But the reaction from these elected officials is pretty wild. Let me read to you first a statement from Janelle Bynum, who represents Oregon's 5th Congressional District. She's a Democrat. She represents me. I'm in Bend, Oregon. I'm represented by Janelle Bynum. Quote, "This isn't law enforcement. It's state-sponsored terrorism. Stop fucking with us. This is the second shooting this week by agents following the orders of a wannabe dictator who is trying to take over cities and rule by instilling terror in the hearts of American people. When the president deployed his guardsmen to our city, Portland, earlier this year, we told him their presence was unwelcome and unhelpful. Today, we saw just how dangerous that is. We need these goons gone. Get to steppin'." Oregon Governor Tina Kotek had similar, although less colorful, remarks. So did the Portland Mayor Keith Wilson, U.S. Senator Ron Wyden. All jumped out yesterday afternoon to say that this was dictatorship, authoritarianism, etc. The media played along. Most of the media played along, that is, yesterday, running these quotes, obviously in an attempt by all those guys to show, like, this is what happened in Minneapolis, part 2. What they apparently didn't know, and I don't think have said anything about since it's been reported, that these two were actually allegedly members of this really horrendous and violent gang out of Venezuela that has a record of operating in the Portland area. And that's where I come into this to a degree. I've been reporting on Tren de Aragua activity in the Portland area for about 6 months, and specifically with regard to a story that about some events that occurred a year ago in January of 2025, where two guys that were living in a house in Lake Oswego, Oregon, and that was supposed to be a residential treatment facility that they were living in, and the company that ran it received $2.3 million from the state of Oregon in Medicaid payments, at least. That's how I came into this. I was covering the Medicaid fraud angle. Anyway, these two guys leave from Lake Oswego, go up to Burien, Washington on January 21st, 2025. They accost a woman as she leaves her apartment in Burien, shoot at her, miss, force her into the car, rob her of gold and jewelry, and then drive around with her for a while in the Seattle age, used a power drill on her hand to force her to give them her phone password, and then took her up to Snoqualmie Pass, east of Seattle, up in the mountains, stopped alongside Interstate 90, forced her out of the car, forced her over a Jersey barrier, and then shot her. They thought they killed her. They hit her in the shoulder. She survived, crawled to safety, and then the police got involved. One of the two guys that came from Lake Oswego, well, King County prosecutors in Washington alleged all of these people involved in this were Tren de Aragua affiliated. The feds say they were in the country illegally, and they're charged with attempted murder and other charges up in King County, Washington, awaiting trial. After that, these guys came back to the house in Lake Oswego and then kind of fled, and then that's where the cops tracked some of them down. Interestingly, one of the guys that was living in the Lake Oswego house and Tren de Aragua affiliated is still on the loose. We don't know where he is. Authorities don't know where he is. They don't have him in custody. So what we know, that we don't know for sure, I don't know whether these folks that were shot yesterday by CBP are in fact Tren de Aragua affiliated. DHS certainly contends that they were. But we do know that the elected officials here in Oregon, jumped out to say some pretty wild stuff about the enforcement of federal law in Oregon, which it appears, if what DHS is saying is correct, was pretty reasonable under the circumstances. Tren de Aragua is, as evidenced by the Burien story, a really bad group of folks, and they commit violent crime, prostitution, human trafficking, drug trafficking, and we have good reason to believe that they've been operating in Oregon. We'll be keeping an eye on this story, so to try to give you all the full story as we know it. When it comes to the Medicaid fraud, for the company that housed these Tren de Aragua guys, the state of Oregon could care less. I've been reporting on it for 6 months. $2.3 million is almost certainly the tip of the iceberg. The state hasn't investigated. They won't make comments on it or anything else, despite what is, to me, pretty clearly evidence of Medicaid fraud perpetrated in the state of Oregon and affiliated in some way with the Tren de Aragua gang, as are, according to the federal officials, the two individuals who were shot yesterday by CBP in Portland. Jeff Eager, Oregon Roundup Foundation, coming to you from Bend, Oregon.